Okay, so today I wanted to continue with the reference mod that we were working on last stream. In particular, some people have asked about how to mod weapons and armor into the game. I don't think we can get all the way to armor, but we can at least do weapons. They're fairly straightforward. Just sort of go through some of the things that I added to the reference mod since the last stream. So hello to all of you, it's good to see you again. And again, just like last time, if you have any questions, please just shout them out in the chat. And if you see me doing, if you are an experienced modder, and you see me doing something silly or incorrect, please just call that out too. And answer each other's questions if you can. Okay, so the reference mod, for those of you who may not have seen it yet, is available in GitHub, our public GitHub, GitHub Stonehearth, and here it's called Starter Mod Basic. This is because we want to make lots of mods, and so they'll be called like Starter Mod Items and Starter Mod, you know, classes or whatever. So Starter Mod Basic. Yes, so yeah, weapons are straightforward, rather hear about armor. I think one of the reasons that armor is complicated is because like I haven't even necessarily worked on armor, and in part because I don't animate. Can I do one about crops? Can we poke fun at you first? Yes, you may absolutely, especially if it's a legitimate error, like yes, like last stream's error, which was missing an S. But right, so but for those of you who were looking for weapons, let's see. So if you download the starter mod from this convenient link and you unzip it into your you know, Stonehearth mods folder, you want to name it Starter Mod Basic. You want to remove the master. Master is added by GitHub because this is in the master branch, and it'll be a peer of Stonehearth and Debug Tools. It'll look like this, and you can open it by double clicking it, and let's see. Oops. We can see that the manifest.json has sample object in it. That's the same sample object that we created together. And it also has piggy bank in it. And the point of piggy bank is to give you something that's actually decorative that you can put in your universe. And the piggy bank is actually what's in recipes.json. So if we look at like, so, oops. One thing that we added was the sample recipe1.json. So you might recognize this, but instead of pointing at the reference object, it now points at the piggy bank. So when you create a world, when you go to play Stonehearth from here, you should be able to create a piggy bank with your carpenter. All right. So new game, normal game. Oh, actually, before we start this, I wanted to show you something. If you are modding and you don't want to use a micro world, which we could do also, but if you're modding and you just want to use your regular game so that you know that it works, you can add this to your user settings file. So this is this user settings file, this one down here. You open it in a text editor, and just like how we talked about JSON last week, you can put a object called mods in there, and inside that mod, all the settings for all your different mods. The first and most obvious mod is Stonehearth, and we have a world generation key. You can make your world generation tiny, and that means that when you run Stonehearth, it will create a really tiny map, so it doesn't take so long to load. Aura Fort, Ali has not yet appeared on a stream. I don't even know if she's signed up for Discourse yet. So you will just have to stay in suspense. But I mean, like, you know, suspense. So okay, so you saw tiny world, really tiny. Click here to place. New helper. Man, I love Mad Libs. Alright, so this is actually still, I think this is still the last stable build on release. But again, using the item dropper, you can do this. Starter mod basic, and then type in the name of the thing that you had named it in the manifest. In this case, it's piggy bank. And click the button, and you can start dropping these piggy banks in the world. So this was the new sample object. I just wanted to make it slightly more decorative than the log. So there it is. Interestingly enough, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Yeah, actually. Well, I suppose if you want to ask Ali if she wants Radiant. Radiant Yang, if you want to ask Allie if she wants to come say hi to the stream, she is more than welcome to. But if she doesn't want to, if she's busy, no worries. We do not warn hires about the stream, in fact. Maybe we ought to. Anyway, so okay, so these are the piggy banks. You can place them in the world. What did we do to piggy bank that is different from what we did to sample object to make that happen? Let's see. Well, we can find out by looking at piggybank.json. No, are you not? Okay, sorry. My Sublime is not actually hooked up to the folder that I care about. So what I want is mods, starter mod basic, entities, piggybank. So interestingly enough, what is different? So you might notice that sample object is super simple. It has the sample object.json that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Oh, Allie's on her way. All right, so we will take an interrupt for a moment, stream, and introduce you to Allie.
Hola.
Hey, come on
Hi.
in. Here is the camera.
Huh?
Stream, this is Allie. Allie is our fantastic new concept artist. She works on both Stonehearth and Rising Thunder, and she did the Alpha 11 splash screen that Tom posted on Desktop Tuesday last week, I believe. So, hey, welcome
Hi.
to Radiant.
Thank you.
Did you know that we stream twice a week?
I think I read about that.
The stream is very friendly. So,
Oh.
Allie, where are you from?
Let me see.
Yeah.
Huh? Oh.
Unless do you want to be closer?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, I'll get back in the chair. Sorry.
Am I even in the camera?
No. Here's the window.
Oh, I did it.
Yeah.
All right, I did it. Yay. Sort of. I came in from Minneapolis, Minnesota, but I'm actually from Louisiana.
Awesome. And what did you work on before you came to Radiant?
Oh gosh, a lot of things. I've worked on independently produced comics. I did children's books and a lot of illustrating for like middle grade fantasy novels. So, yeah.
It's really awesome. I think I have posted to Discourse your DeviantArt library, which I think is really amazing.
Thank you.
I think we're very lucky to have you. So thanks
Thank
for
you
being
so
here.
I will do my best.
Awesome.
Right.
Okay. I don't want to take you away
Oh, it's
from
okay,
whatever
yeah.
you're doing.
Back to drawing the kids.
All right. See you.
See you. Bye.
Thanks for stopping by. All right, guys. That is Allie. Really, really, really pleased to get to introduce you to her. She has an amazing portfolio and amazing past history in illustration. She's super excited to be working here at Radiant. She's got this amazing can-do attitude, and everything that we've asked her to do, or everything we've even implied that she might be interested in doing, she has been more than excited to jump in with both feet. So, let's see. We were going to, right, we were talking about piggy banks. So originally we had created sample object, and all sample object was this wooden log. So like, starter mod basic, sample sample object, right? So it was this birch log. The sample object cannot be interacted with. You see it has no buttons, nobody runs over to pick it up, nobody's using it for anything, and that's because it is the absolute basic thing that you can create that is an entity in the world. In fact, without that recipe to create it from the carpenter, there's no way to even get it in the world. So, so what is the difference between sample object and piggy bank? Well, let's take a look. She should do a sketching stream sometime. Yeah, I definitely agree. I bet she would be awesome at that. Okay, so the very first thing that you can notice in piggybank is that there's actually 3 piggybank.json files. The first one is for just plain old piggybank.json. So what's in there? You see that just like sample object, it's an entity. You see that it has components, and it has a collision shape, which is like where you can walk around it, and what people use to, like the numbers people use to determine where it is when they go to pick it up. And you can see that theoretically you could be able to sell it to a merchant for 10 gold. But notice it doesn't have a unit info. And notice that it doesn't have model variants. Model unit info, name and stuff, model variants, what Cubicle file to use for it. Instead, it has this thing called entity forms. And the reason for this is because placeable items, if you think about them, items that are decoration in the world, they actually have three forms. There's the little form, which is what we call the iconic form, and that's the one that can fit in the hands of a hearthling so that they can pick it up and put it places, the little chairs and stuff. And then there's a ghost form, which is how it looks in the world when you have said, oh, I want to place it in this location, but before it actually has, you know, appeared. So it's semi-transparent. So if you think about it, the little version, the ghost version, and the actual placed version all have different physical properties. The ghost version can be walked through, no one can interact with it, it doesn't act like a chair or anything in the world, and the little one obviously has different physical dimensions than the big one. So that is why there's 3 different JSON files for piggy bank. This is the simplest. The entity forms just says, hey, this is the one that's iconic, this is the one that's ghost, and can I place it on the ground? Yes, it's true. So if we look at and in fact, we inherit in some sense from the piggybank.ghost. So everything that is piggybank.ghost is mixed into piggybank.json when it's created. So what is inside piggybank.ghost? Well, the unit info. This is how the piggy bank gets its name, which is why when you click on it, you can see it sort of here. It gets its model variants from here. This is its default size, its default Cubicle model is the wooden piggy bank, and its materials, toy and crafted. And this tells you what offset you should consider it based on the Cubicle file that you've created. It's the same offset for almost all of our items, so you can just pretty much copy paste this into whatever new items you're creating. Okay. So the other one is the piggy bank iconic. It's the little one, and because piggy banks are actually the size of wooden logs, that was as big as I made it, the iconic version, the iconic file, the iconic Cubicle piggy bank is exactly the same. It's the same file as the big one, and so this one's the same. This one, they're identical. So this one just says, hey, like, I'm an entity, I've got these model variants, this is the one you should use when I'm small, and it actually mixes in something called item properties. And if we look for item properties inside Stonehearth, you can see that there's just some basic stuff in here. This means that if I'm a managed object, interpolate my movement. No, don't interpolate my movement. Don't cause me to skate through the world, that sort of thing. And when I am a ghost, use this material to show that I'm transparent. So that is what we added. That is, I just wanted to go through that. So if you want to make a placeable item as opposed to just something that's simple, like the sample log, you want to make sure it's got these 3 different files, and those are the things inside those files. Okay, so we will reuse this data when we look at making a new kind of sword. All right, does anyone have any questions so far? Hey, Steve. Okay. So how do we create a new wooden sword? Well, a new, let's say it's going to be a legendary sword. Oops. All right, so this is our empty folder for legendary sword. It's going to want to manifest.json and all that other good stuff. Let's see, downloads, don't want you. Starter mod basic, don't want you. Okay. So how do we actually get a useful file for the legendary sword? As someone mentioned in the last stream, one of the things that is super tempting to do all the time is to copy this data in from an existing sword. So, okay, that is fairly easy to do. Let's see, we were using release. That's right, Stonehearth, mods. You remember last stream we unzipped stonehearth.smod so that we could look inside of it. Inside weapons, we have the longsword. So let's use the longsword as our template, since most legendary swords seem to be longswords. It's an incredibly biased, it's a very biased environment. Okay. Okay, so the longsword isn't placed, so it doesn't have a ghost.json, you can see, but it does have the regular.json and the iconic.json because it needs to be, there's a version of it that exists in the world when people are using it, and then there's a version of it that is smaller that exists in the world when it's placed. Okay. Is it possible to cancel placement while in ghost form? I placed an item in the wrong spot. I believe it is possible to click on the ghost and then move, there's like a move command, and then you can say, hey, move this to somewhere else. So let's rename these all to legendary, just so that there is no confusion. Okay. Alright, so these guys are all now inside the legendary sword. So what can we do with this? Well, let's open legendary sword.json and see what's inside here. Okay. So it mixes in item properties, that's good. Let's give it a new name. So we want to make sure that it goes to legendary sword.png. It's a weapon, long melee weapon crafted. It is going to be the legendary, like the version of the legendary sword that's in the world, as opposed to the iconic version that's little, is going to be a different cubicle model than the one that just sits there. So we want legendary sword equipped, because that's the one that is actually placed at the origin in such a way that the handle of the sword is going to be at the origin where the person's hand is. Legendary sword iconic. This means it's going to be a piece of equipment. The eye level is how desirable the item is. So when someone who equips swords, someone like footmen, people who equip different kinds of items are always looking for items in the world with a higher eye level than the eye level that they have. So basic swords have a super low eye level. I think it might be 1, that might be the default, or it might be 0. And every cooler thing subsequently has a higher eye level, so they know to be able to trade up. So probably we want this eye level to be higher than 11. We want it to be something like 20. So we know that it's going to be more desirable than all the other swords we've got so far. This is what effect is going to play when you level up with it, and it's going to have these two postures, which is when Stonehearth Combat and Stonehearth Patrol are states of animation for the different guys, and when the dude is in the combat or the patrol posture, he's going to have this sword in his hand. Base damage should probably be higher than 18. Let's make it 30 because it is the legendary sword. Its reach is the same, 1.8, because we're not going to change the size of it too much. These are the melee attacks that it will be involved in. Let's not change those. Value in gold is 199. I don't know, how much do you think the legendary sword ought to be worth? Let's say 300. It is not buyable from a store. Okay, cool. Alright, so that's legendary sword.json. Legendary sword.png is the same one from before. Legendary sword.qb and legendary sword equipped, also same from before. Let's look at the iconic one. Let's change this to legendary sword. This is the description that appears only when it is iconic, as opposed to this one. Weapons, long melee weapon crafted, legendary sword.qb. Okay, cool. Alright. Now let's see if that works in the game, before we even try anything special or fancy. Alright, any other questions? Let's see. Taking proficiency for anything except longsword in D&D is always dumb. All the cool weapons are longswords. Gee, I don't know, Geister. Have you ever fought one of those dudes with spiked chain proficiency before they patched it, when he could like skip backward and then hit, and then skip backward and then hit? Also, we're always adding new special rules for katanas, because katanas are awesome. But yes, we could talk about ideal swords in D&D forever. Stonehearth, I'm working on a night mod, the talisman for it. Just with a crate. So SRAL92X, it's two things. I just paused the game briefly. You're asking about whether or not like the knight's armor needs to be armor or if it's just his outfit. The answer is if you want the knight's outfit to just be, sorry, you should give the knight like an iconic outfit, like how the footmen, for example, have an iconic outfit, so that your basic knight will have that outfit, but that outfit won't have like it probably won't have any special like armor or anything about it. It'll just look like armor. And then if you want to make if you want the footman, or sorry, if you want your knight to be cooler than a footman, you would sort of make him cooler with buffs. Like you would say like, while he's a knight, he's cooler than a footman because he's got the knight level 1 buff that gives him better defense and gives him more hit points and stuff like that. And then armor, we think of armor as very much an improvement on the thing that you have by default. So then you would start creating armors in the game that the knight can put on top of his existing knight outfit that will make him cooler than how he is by default. If you want him to have armor just walking around, you don't need to make it armor per se. You can just make his outfit look like armor. For example, the footman is sort of wearing a tabard, but like, you know, there's no like dex bonus or anything associated with it. Sorry. So you can't edit placement while it's still in ghost form. Interesting. So you have to maybe, I don't know if that's broken or if that's new. Let's see, Stonehearth. Furniture. Archback chair, is this right? Let's see. Okay, let's say I move it. And then I click here. I can move it again. If this is broken in Alpha 11, if this doesn't work, then obviously that is a problem. but Muskogee 76, that was the original intent anyway. It's supposed to be movable while it is ghosts. Okay. Other questions? Evo? Evo was really good. I probably feel like I shouldn't talk about Evo right here in the middle of a stream about modding, but we can talk about it after if you like. What other render types exist? You mean like as opposed to ghost and regular? I'm not sure we have too many other render types other than that. What's in store for Alpha 12 other than pathfinding? All of my crafter improvements had better be in Alpha 12. Also, Yang is currently working and doing an amazing job on making sure that our stuff is localizable. So if you are from one of our amazing if you are a member of our amazing localization community, hopefully your life will be easier after Alpha 12. Okay. Oh, I see. So you have to wait for the item to be placed first. Like it has to be in the world. All right, what if I put an iconic one in the world? So it's a little one. And then I did this. And then I did that. So again, if this is not actually what you're hoping for, oh, did it go to the original location, not the new location? Sorry, I did not notice. Wait. That was so fast. So where does it actually go? It seems to be going to the target location, but anyway, again, if it is not working like this, then file a bug, let us know, and we will attempt to fix it. Okay, what was I doing? Right, I was trying to make sure that our legendary sword was in the game, even though we haven't changed the models or anything else about it. So, star... So let's try to place the... Whoops. There is no alias named Legendary Sword in the manifest. Alright. Yay. That is a very good point. Thank you, error dialogue. So again, everything that is in the game has to be in the manifest that you want to reference. Okay. Cool. Let's try this again. All right. I feel like it's kind of sad for these guys because like they come here and they like really want to exist in the world, but really we're just creating them for the starter world. So, legendary sword. Okay, so our legendary sword is in the world, and if we wanted the iconic version of it, we can put that down here too. And we don't actually have any footmen at the moment, so we can't actually see what it would look like if someone tried to equip it, but we can have footmen in just a little bit. Yes, Capotzalco, you can indeed leave out the JSON part when using file. If this part, if the folder name and this and the JSON file name are the same, you can in fact actually just do that. I am pretty sure. Anyway, but let us just test this first. Do I know how many alphas are going to be before beta? I do not actually know. We will just have to find out together. I do believe that Tony has a best quotes thread, which really alarmed him when he discovered this. Oh, do we need 2 logs? There's only 1 log. Yeah, I'm afraid that Chris is not streaming tomorrow morning. Instead, he wrote you that awesome Desktop Tuesday about the Pathfinder, which was very enlightening, even to me. But he will not be streaming, and tomorrow's stream will not happen. But we will be back again on Thursday, and hopefully Tom will be back a week from today. Okay, so when she becomes a footman, hopefully the legendary sword iconic, this dude, not this guy on the floor, the iconic version's eye level should tempt her into picking it up, which it is not. That's hilarious and fun. Let's see if... So probably what happened is that, yeah, okay. So what happened there... Ha! It's backwards! That's really interesting. Oh, you know what? I bet that this bug was fixed before, and like this bug, this is an old build, so I bet that this has since been fixed because I have seen it fixed. Well, anyway, she's backhanding her broadsword. That just means that she's a badass who knows how to attack with a hilt and is so deadly with it that she doesn't need it to be facing forward. All right, we will fix that. But anyway, so first of all, what happened is that the legendary sword iconic was out in the world before she was promoted, so her promotion UI didn't maybe automatically look for equipment improvements. But the minute that it was added to the stockpile, it was then sort of like refreshed in her awareness, and she was able to go pick it up. And it's backwards, which is great. Yeah, okay, so the backwards was definitely fixed. Can we keep the backward wielded blades? Tell you what, you can create like new weapons that are backward wielded. I think daggers look particularly badass when they're dual wielded backwardsly. Maybe we can even do that later. Right. Other things. Stonehearth. Will goblins be a playable race in multiplayer? Somehow I doubt it, but we will see. Like, I feel like goblins are just very, like they would have like a radically different tech tree than all of the human-based people, and they would have like a really different MO, so it would require really different gameplay. But Toolfield Dagger 1 so I don't expect that you would likely see goblins in multiplayer, but you can always give it a shot yourself. Sample campaign mod. I would love to make a sample campaign mod of Arian. The campaign system is actually really cool. Tony wrote it, and I feel like it was a gift. It's like every day that I use it, it's Christmas. It's just I find it very easy to use, very flexible. Okay, so because I only want to change one thing at a time, let's just check really quickly. If we remove legendary sword.json, does this still work? Okay. Seeing as how we are magical and wonderful, maybe we could add some green slabs. But really, would it be grass or would it be green stone, you know? Starter mod basic. Legendary sword. Okay, so it is true. If this thing and this thing have exactly the same name, if the folder and the JSON file have exactly the same name, you can just refer to it by the folder name. So that is good to know for the future. Alright, so the other thing that we probably want to do to the legendary sword is make it look slightly different than the longsword so that you can tell that it is different. How do we do that? Let's just drag it in here. This is the Cubicle file for the legendary sword. You see the default one, the legendary sword.qb, the one that is iconic, the one that is in the world, stands point down. And that is because that's how we want it to appear. Alright, so I am just so totally not a Cubicle expert the way that Tom is, but I just want to change the color of the sword sufficiently so that I can tell the difference. Oh my god, so purple. No. You know and I know the legendary sword's color is handle is not nearly that purple. Maybe more like that? Okay. Better. When I first heard that Tom was going to go work on Stonehearth, and when he first started talking about Cubicle, the very first thing I did was make a legendary sword in Cubicle, and the very first thing he told me was that it was really pretty but had too many voxels. So if it happens to you, it happens to us all. Let me think. Whoops. That is not what I meant to do. I just wanted to double click and zoom on you. Oh, but I can't do that. Alright, let's see. What else does the legendary sword have? Yeah, I'm just so bad at this. We're just gonna do this because, like, just so it's different, okay? But don't take this seriously. This is not the thing. Let's make it a little longer. Happily, I do know the Cubicle shortcuts because they're identical to the Photoshop ones, which I also learned from Tom in our other life when we were, when we were designing Photoshop software or designing enterprise software. Okay, cool. The legendary sword's wielder has an undeniable urge to eat berries. Yeah, I mean, and he drinks milk, right? He is like the most wholesome person ever. Let's see. That's so terrible. It's like so awful. All right. I don't think it's yellow. I think okay. Anyway. I think the thing in the middle is blue. Is that right? Does he really have a bright blue gem, like, in the middle of... Let's find out. No, there's a yellow gem. Okay. I'm wrong. Whoops. And the whole hilt is purple. Wow. Just wow. Man. Let's make it dark blue. Okay. Oh my god. Why are you so bright? Alright. Okay, cool. Let's stop there. Yes. So, let's see. Why are we in this folder? We want to be in this folder. Save this for reference. And then we'll want to export it. As a QB file. And we'll want to save it over the existing one. Okay. Any questions? White pommel, make the handle out of gold. Let's see. A white pommel so it looks like a gem. I'm pretty sure that the legendary sword has a purple pommel, but anyway. Is there more? I guess there usually is more, huh? Like, it's got a kind of like bump to it. Let's just add one more then. Okay, add. Okay, cool. Right, so we wanted to export it. It's a QB file. Oh geez. Legendary sword. See, like, Cubicle constructor. No wonder it didn't ask me. Alright, legendary sword. As a QB file, please. Right. Okay, save. Yes. Okay, so that is the normal one. If you want, we can also, let's just copy that. We also need to change the iconic one. Sorry. Oops. We also need to change the equipped one. Add a gem to the pommel. I'm just going for a very traditional legendary sword here, but if you feel inclined to make a better legendary sword, you should totally do that. Okay, so remember how I said that there were two different cubicle models because the sword looks different when it's sitting on the ground as opposed to when it's in someone's hand? So the point is that when it's in somebody's hand, the origin of the cubicle file, you see, like, it's here where the intersection of the green, blue, and red lines are. That origin, that point right here, that's where the hand is going to attach to the sword. So that's why, like, the sword needs to have this as its origin. This was the one that, great. It's flat. No. Let's see. What is the best way of doing this? Right. Open. Okay, copy, file. Right, maybe we want a new file. Okay, so this is a copy, and then we are going to rotate this guy. Let's see, we need to rotate it around this axis, and no, not that way. Nope. There we go. Okay, that should be approximately correct. Nope. I want to rotate it around the z-axis. Right, yes, there we go. Does that look about right? It should. Let's see. We want it to look like the other one. File, export all. Cubicle as a QB file, yes. Save. Okay, cool. All right, so let's see what happened. So legendary sword, equip.qb, legendary sword.qb, both have been modified in the last couple of minutes. Let's go back into the game and see if the legendary sword is now purple. Okay, anyone have any questions? Please add a crossbow. I feel like I would love to add a crossbow. The problem is that in order to have a crossbow, like, we need to do a ton of work to make sure that ranged combat works correctly, which is lots of math and lots of intersections and lots of exciting fun. But after that, don't worry, we will go crazy with ranged weapons. Okay, that's actually not what I want to do, but it is instinct. All right, so starter mod, basic, legendary sword. All right, well, that looks kind of right. It's flat, which is a little bit unfortunate. So maybe it is not quite right in the universe yet. Its iconic version does look correct. It is indeed longer and in fact sinks into the ground a little. So anyway, well, you get the idea. You can sort of like play around with how it is and which versions, you know, how it's rotated. This really wants to be flat, huh? This is the one that's in the world. That's interesting. Maybe the reason that it's like this. Well, anyway, let's find out what happens if we make a carpenter and equip that sword. All right, questions. Where can I set where to attach other than the hand? In the animation of like combat swing one-handed or whatever, it says like attached to bone, and usually in the combat effect it tells you what bone on the person to attach it to. So if I look for combat one-hand backhand, let's see, right here, so this is the animation where the combat actually happens. Let's see, animation effect, sound, type one of, items one of. Let's look at this. This one? Start time bite? No. I want... It's an animation effect. No. Defects. I'm not actually sure because I am no animator, but probably somewhere in the relationship between the effect being specified and the animation, you can specify what bone it's supposed to attach to. I do know that Like the promote effect.json, for example, when you grab the talisman, it goes to, like, you specify what bone it is here. But yeah, so like at the moment, so like for example, in an animation for a promotion, the promotion starts out, the item starts out between the person's hands and it goes up, and that's the promotion bone. It's an invisible bone that sort of like rises, and that's what the sword is attached to when a footman is being promoted. And then halfway through the animation, they grab the sword out of the air, and at that moment, in that trigger, at frame 145, suddenly the sword then attaches to the main hand. So there must be something similar going on with the other animations, but I'm not totally sure because I did not write them. Okay, so if any of you who actually do mod this sort of stuff know, please feel free to answer this. Is it possible to add helmets to armor? I think the problem with hats and all the things that are on heads is that people, it conflicts with their hair, so it might be slightly complicated at the moment. Right. Anything else? Skeletons involved? Yes, that is certainly true. Oh, right. No one's building. This is a really old build. Do they not build because they don't know where the logs are? That is totally possible. Ah, there she goes. Okay, build workshop, make a footman, see what happens. Alright, the example mod from last stream is already available on GitHub. And when we add enough items to this one to make it worthwhile, then this one will certainly be... Well, actually, I want to make a new one called Starter Mod Items, and it'll have like all kinds of new items in it, and we'll see what happens. And that one will be on GitHub too, when it is ready. So okay, so now here's the footman, and he runs over to the legendary sword, and the legendary sword, you can see, is saved in the Cubicle file. It's probably off by a little, and that's why it's off his hand by a little. But anyway, that is just a matter of tweaking a lot. And we are getting up to 6:45, so I will be tweaking probably off stream, and then I will post it when it is ready. Okay, so thank you. That is basically how we add weapons to the game using existing weapons. If you want to add new kinds of weapons, like that aren't in that look nothing like the weapons in the game so far, like ranged weapons or weapons like morning stars or something that have swing to them, that's probably an entirely different topic, and I'm actually not totally familiar with how to do that since, as I said, I don't animate. But that should at least get you started if what you want to do is create your own kinds of weapons. And again, you saw that you can change the damage and stuff over here, and you know, the reach, and play with some balance. And if you do that, I would be very interested in seeing what kinds of weapons you came up with and how you balance them. Of course, also, I guess I should mention that you want to make your weapons craftable probably by some crafter, and you can do that by checking out the sample mod. The sample mod has examples on how to make wooden piggy banks. Making a wooden sword instead should be fairly straightforward. Just replace everything in the recipe that says piggy bank with sword. Okay, let's see. Can I answer any more questions for you before I head out? Yes, I will put this stream on YouTube for later rewatching. Thank you for asking. What kind of engine do we use? We wrote our own engine, which in retrospect was maybe very naive and optimistic of us. It's working though. The rendering engine, I believe, started out as Horde 3D, and now it's practically Radiant's Horde 3D because we've altered it so much. Chris can tell you more about that. If we'd had it to do again, probably we would have tried harder to use Unreal or Unity or something, but hey, hindsight, 2020. Let's see. What is the plan concerning flying entities? We really do want to have birds and other flying things in the game. In order to interact with flying things, I think we'd probably need some like distance relationship. I mean, you can currently make a flying entity kind of by just setting its like the height of the entity is as much higher and just leaving a whole lot of space under it. I've seen that happen, but I mean, like if you want like realistic looking flying with like going up and down, that's a matter of animating and stuff. Okay, we really need to name the engine so that we can tell people. It's the Stonehearth engine, clearly. Let's see. Let's see. Why don't we stream more often? We stream 3 times a week when we can. Streaming is always exciting to all of us. It is a thing. We are very honored to be able to talk to you about our game dev on stream, but it is also like time consuming and it is not always as productive as it can be. I have not yet learned to be productive on stream. Does it take a while to learn game coding stuff? That's an interesting question. I think it doesn't actually, so it takes a while to learn to code. That is certainly true. If you want to build a game, you don't necessarily need to know how to code. You can, buy an engine that exists in the world, like RPG Maker, if you like Japanese RPGs, and you can just start immediately. You don't need to learn how to code to use something like that. If you want to go with something like Unity or Unreal, Unity probably has better getting started tutorials. I think a lot of that coding, it's not like typing coding, it's more like making state models and stuff coding, which is actually I think still coding, but at least you don't have to worry about semicolons so much. Actually, I don't know. I've never really used Unreal much at length, but I understand that you can get going with it fairly quickly. If you want to learn how to code your own engine from scratch, yeah, it's probably going to take a while, but so would learning to play the piano and learning to draw or something. Okay. Anything else? Is multiplayer going to be one of the last things implemented? I hope not. I hope we still keep adding things after we add multiplayer, but certainly we want to make sure that a lot of the other systems are stable before we start it, because once we start it, like, everyone will only be able to work on multiplayer probably until it's done, because it will affect everything. Let's see. What classes do you have to take in college in order to be a game dev? If a coder, you would want to take an introductory computer science course. Well, okay, if you want to be any kind of software engineer, whether or not you want to make video games, you should take introductory computer science and see if you like it, and then follow along a classic computer science path is what I would recommend. You want to be able to, after college, you want to have been able to have learned enough about the infrastructure of coding, like how algorithms come together, how code is written, so that you can pick up any language you need to pick up later. It's much more important to understand how code works and how large projects come together than it is to know how to use a specific language, because languages change all the time. Though obviously you will end up with expertise in some languages, and maybe you'll find a favorite and get really good at that. So that would be a good starter. There's a really good course from Stanford Engineering Everywhere. I think it's CS106A. That is actually a course that I've talked to many people about and referred many people to. It is their introductory computer science class, and it is based on their introductory computer science program, and it's taught by this awesome guy named Mehran, who sometimes dresses up like a Jedi, and everything is here online for you. You can just watch all the lectures and do all the programming assignments, and you will be creating video games in no time. They will be very simple video games, but they will be real video games. And Tom and Tony and I, at various points in our life, used to TA for this course, or section lead for this course, and grade papers for this course. So I'm very familiar with it. It's really good. It's really good for basics and fundamentals. Do I have to know a lot of math for computer science? Honestly, I don't think so. I think there's a joke, right, about how computer scientists can only count between 0 and 1, like, and that's all. It's more like you need a sort of methodical way of thinking about how you code. You will, unless you go into a part of computer science that is really math heavy, for example, graphics, you kind of mostly just need to know how to code, know how to count from 0 to 1 and to n, where n is an arbitrarily high number. That's about it. Is it important to specialize as a game artist or to be a jack of all trades, or any position in the game industry? I do not actually know very much about the gaming industry. I think actually you should direct your question to Radiant Yang, because she would know it a lot better. Personally, I studied computer science so that I could work on any kind of software engineering project, and I just happened to awesomely get to work for a gaming company because my friends made a gaming company. I think that if you wanted to work for a larger company, I'm not totally sure, but they might want you to have specialized to art or to something. But certainly for a startup like Radiant with 6 engineers, specialization would be premature. We all need to do a little bit of everything. So if a small team is what you want to work on, then no, you don't have to specialize. For the industry at large, definitely ask an industry expert, which is not me, but might be Yang if she's comfortable answering that question. Okay, how will multiplayer work? We have multiple ideas in mind for multiplayer, so everything I say is tentative until it actually happens, but the idea would be that there's cooperative multiplayer where you and your friend either both control a city or 2 allied cities, and you just build together and make something awesome and defend against goblins together. And then we're looking at a competitive multiplayer, at least one version where you build a city, you put it up online, and then someone else can attack your city. And we're still also looking at what it would mean in that first scenario where you have 2 friends and they've got 2 cities, what would it mean for one city to declare war on the other? And we're thinking at the moment that multiplayer would be over LAN, just like Minecraft, so you just sort of set it up, play with your friends, and do that sort of thing. What else? Will the modding API allow for overriding Lua and less, eventually? I don't think that the modding API will ever really allow for overriding Lua. I think that the modding API might give you more hooks into Lua. Specifically, it might expose a ton more events so that you can write your own Lua functions that listen for things like character death or hunger or something, and then you would be able to use those hooks to then do your own code. Like, when an entity becomes hungry, give them this other special effect where they, I don't know, like, start looking manically for, their favorite type of food, that kind of thing. Overrides are really dangerous, especially for Lua, because it means that every time that file changes, your override would have to change also. So we probably don't want to keep encouraging that, but instead encourage code that can be written modularly and put together like Legos. Any teasers for Alpha 12? Well, I so totally felt bad for posting what we wanted to put in Alpha 11 because we got so little of it actually in. So I'm leery of talking about Alpha 12, but at the very least I know that in the pipe we have crafter improvements, we've got those Pathfinder improvements, we've got the localization improvements. I've seen a demo. You can ask Tony when he gets back if he'll show you his demo for stairs. And we certainly had water things planned that we want to put in later also. I really do want you to be able to dig up berry bushes and place them somewhere else. We'll see about that. Maybe as someone's special ability from some sort of like gardener or farmer class. How are Radiant Entertainment's finances doing, if I'm allowed to say? Well, as you might have seen on the discourse, our finances are doing great. In addition to the Kickstarter money, Tom and Tony also went out to venture capitalists in Silicon Valley and raised separate money to support not just Stonehearth, but also the other team that we have going, which is producing Rising Thunder. And for those of you who aren't aware of it, Rising Thunder is Team Radiant's second game. It's been in development for 18 months now, and it finally exited stealth mode on Monday, so you can find all sorts of articles online about it. And it's been developed from the beginning by a completely separate team, so I don't work on it, Yang doesn't work on it, we all work on Stonehearth, and that team is incredibly dedicated to what they do and fighting games, and I'm really proud of them, and I'm really happy that their game is out in the wild now. Okay, when will Kickstarter backers receive codes for the puppy, the kitten, and the mammoth? Originally, our plan for pets was to deliver them to you when the game was finished. They're kind of like dessert, so definitely expect them when the game is done or before the game is done. College is a waste of money, especially for stuff like programming. I don't know if I would say that. College is incredibly useful for, depending on the courses that you get and the friends that you make, is incredibly useful for at least getting to know good fundamentals, depending on the college you go to, and the friends you make in the programming classes that you take will be your friends for the rest of your life, and you will continue to work together for the rest of your life if you're lucky. So in that case anyway, college can be useful, although I certainly will not argue that you don't need college to do coding. Let's see. So all right, I think that is probably it for this stream, unless you guys have any last questions. Oops. Will multiplayer be restricted to LAN, or could I host a server for Steam friends to join? No one I know would play this type of game. I'm not entirely sure. We would definitely like you to be able to play with more people than just the people in your house. So we'll just have to see what happens. Is it true that you get a higher pay raise by going to college? I can tell you that it is certainly true in some enterprise software companies. I don't know about gaming industry companies, that your pay goes up based on your degree. So the more advanced degree you have, the higher pay you start with. But probably in a good company, the majority of your pay would come from merit raises anyway. So it matters at the beginning, but by the end it might matter less. It really depends on the company. Is asking how multiplayer is going to work too big of a question at this point? I would consider it too big of a question. Yeah, and I would definitely direct it at Tony instead of at myself. What keyboard do I use? This is something called a DAS keyboard, DAS keyboard. And Tom and Tony really like clicky keyboards, so I guess mechanical keyboards, so that's why it's so loud. All right, I think that is it for now. You can find us always on the discourse. You can find us and in our dev blog, leave comments.